CHistrue. I guess in this, I have a big long series on philosophy of religion. I interrupted it to do a video presentation, a kind of plea to the police union of New York to knock it off in terms of their behavior. Very respectfully done. But starting from part one, I did a whole long series. I've been doing a whole long series on the philosophy of religion. I probably conclude it with this video. So if you haven't seen part one, I'm going to go ahead and link some videos down there below, but I'm going to encourage you to watch part one first before this. And if you decide you don't like the series, you don't want to watch it, by all means don't. But if you try to enter in midstream and try to figure out, is this guy a theist? Is he an atheist? Do we need to have this dualistic kind of grid that we have in Western religious culture? Well, if you try to approach it from that standpoint, you're not going to understand where I come from. So, in a nutshell, if you don't want to do that, I come to the conclusion in this series that religions are human-made, that there is no religion that has... all religions are human-created, and yet I also come to the conclusion that the sense of the divine crosses cultures, and that there's an irreducible mystery to it. Not irreducible complexity, not intelligent design theory, but an irreducible mystery to it that cannot simply be explained away. Even if there's an evolutionary explanation for it on some level, or a possible one, it cannot be explained away. Because if you say that religion evolved because of an evolutionary process, then it begs the question, what in the environment would cause such an evolution? Adaptations happen for a reason. So it would open up a whole series of questions there. So again, religions are human institutions governed by authority structures that have often used the fear of God to instill the fear of them. And yet, secondly, I can't simply dismiss the mystery of the divine either. Thirdly, I make the very provocative statement that I believe that religious people need to get back to the sense of communality, particularly in the 19th century, the reform movement, the abolition of slavery, and get away from this kind of individually based upward spiritual idea of our purpose is to go to heaven, our purpose is to get out of here. And I also make the statement that atheists, who comprise a lot of my viewers, also need to get back to the 19th century communal, revolutionary socialist, in a pacifist sense, but this kind of idea of a revolutionary new society, and get away from Randianism, and also get away from some of the degenerations that have occurred within modern philosophical materialism, particularly postmodernism and Randianism, and a kind of fetishism around lifestyle issues and personal choice. And it's a form of special pleading to attack the Randianism of the right and to say that that's been corrosive to the social fabric, but not look at some Randianism on the left. Our lifestyle choices have a social impact. And I'm going to particularly state that the proliferation of, this is going to be controversial, but religious conservatives have their point. Now, I know you want me to talk about gay marriage, okay? And I understand you want me to get to that, but that's a very small percentage of the population. So this focus on gay marriage, I mean, two fathers are better than none, right? Isn't Heather having two mommies better than Heather being abandoned? Now, I know you want me to focus on that. But no, I'm going to focus on something that's more iconoclastic than that. And that is no-fault divorce. Pushed in a lot of cases by feminists and by people on my own end of the spectrum. I identify as being on the left, by the way. And yet I can see how the underlying premise of it is a kind of Randianism of the left. And when these social changes came, the conservative Christian community responded by aligning very, very much politically with the right, no matter how anti-Christian the fundamental premises of conservative right-wing philosophy are when you really explore them. They allied with it, and I'm not saying it's the fault of the left that they did that, but critical self-analysis means critical self-analysis. It doesn't mean the other guy does self-criticism and self-analysis. It means that it's critical self-analysis. Everybody does it. And so again, in this series, I call for people who are religious to go back to the social gospel, and people who are atheists to go back to Robert Owen, and find that you have more in common than you have in terms of difference. So much of what we want is we want to either go to heaven, or we want to get off the wheel of life, or we want to get into outer space, or we want to go into computers. We want to go out of here. But there is no out of here. This is our planet. This is our home. And maybe there's out of here. I don't know. Maybe these things are going to happen. But for now, this is our home. And we're destroying it ecologically. We're destroying it economically. We're changing the genome for the sake of corporate profit. We're launching CO2s into the air and warming the planet. We're dividing the rich and the poor. We're causing wars. A lot of which are in the name of religion, yes. But I'm not going to let the agnostics and materialists off the hook here. A lot of it is also in the name of the profit motive. And so, how do I end this philosophy of religion series here? How about we discuss the question of evil a little more? And that is, if there is a God, and I'm not talking about the Christian God or the Jewish God or the Buddhist concept of God, if it's a tricky question, if there is one. But I'm talking about some concept of a teleology of the evolution of the universe that involves greater compassion, greater wisdom, and greater unity. Which the universe, by the way, would be free to not follow, because free will would be respected. If this concept of God is valid, then what of the question of suffering? What of the question of does this mean that this concept of God is not all-powerful? So that's the question Hume asked. It's the question that other philosophers have asked. And the only answer I can think of that makes any sense is free will. Not simply free will of human beings. Not a fall or an apple or a pomegranate, I guess, and a snake that talks and we eat it. And no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a free will of an evolutionary process at every step of the way. Cells can join together to form multicellular organisms, but then some don't. Human beings can join societies, or we don't. We could have gone the other way, been like other primates. Those societies, in turn, give up war and fascism, or they don't. If you say the ultimate nature of God is love, then perhaps that love is a love that respects not just the laws of nature, but also human will. It's an explanation that, to my mind, may well make sense. If indeed that is not the truth, and if indeed there are miracles or interventions in nature, and if my kind of, some of you might say this is like warmed over deism or something like that. Maybe it is. And for some of you, you need a stronger faith than that. And I can respect that, and I can understand that. Then you will have to explain to me the mystery of evil. I'll leave this as an open question. I'll kind of end the series as an open question, and that is, if God is all-powerful and all-good, how would you as a Christian, or you as a Jew, or you as a Muslim, or you as a New Ager, or you as a Rastafarian, or a Sikh, or Baha'i, Hindu, whatever you might be, how do you explain then the question of evil? Do you say that God is the source of evil? In which case, do we want to worship a God that ordains both good and evil in the traditional sense? Do you say, like the East, that it's all one, it's all illusion? I ask, does that minimize human suffering? Do we say that God is not all-powerful? I'm willing to explore that, to be all good but not be all powerful. I'm going to let you post below, answer that question. I don't give any definite answers, but I've enjoyed the questions. Thank you for being with me in this series.